All right, it's our job to give the people what they want. So here we are. We got to incentivize our commissioners the best way we can, and sometimes that's by being the dancing monkeys that we are. So we're on for an emergency pod at the deadline for rollover. Um, didn't get the 12 trades, but two pretty big ones happened. So as his payment for getting Jeremy to log on and process them, we did offer to get on the mic here and talk through a couple of these, and then kind of any others that pop up as we're on. So Broncos, Panthers, Eagles, guys, thanks for making it two nights this week.
Always fun when we have crazy trades like this going down.
Indeed. Um, so a couple I'm just going to get out of the way. That again, not to be a jerk. These are smaller deals that aren't really moving needles. It's small cap dumps or, um, you know, making room on the roster. We'll get to the bigger ones that have happened at the end here. But for the bit of housekeeping, I gave a Texans fifth for Robert Beal and Dominique Robinson. Buccaneers gave a Saints fifth for Byron Murphy and the Ravens fifth. Um, Ravens paid a fourth and Davis to dump the Davis contract to the Chargers for the Dolphins fifth. Um, Chargers gave the Broncos fifth for Travis Gibson and a fourth, so Raiders is able to dump the Gibson contract. Um, and those are kind of the small ones that, again, took place but aren't necessarily big needle movers in the league. Any thoughts on those before we jump into the earth shattering ones?
I thought the Byron Murphy one was a pretty cheap Byron Murphy. He's a decent corner, right?
Yeah, but he's like $4 million.
Oh, I mean, we don't know how much corners are going to be until free agency, so that might be a steal.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of it. I considered potentially trading for him too on the same line of thinking. Just $4 million isn't great, but who knows what it's going to look like just around the corner.
Especially with all the money. Oh goodness, this could be silly. All right, speaking of silly, RJ and I decided to get a little silly after the pod last night. He, of course, is sitting with the first pick in the draft and decided that he would lock up his quarterback by other means, picking up Kyler Murray, Stephon Diggs, and the Tennessee third from me, which I think is the 303, in return for Jamar Chase, Fletcher Cox, Justin Simmons, and the 132. So I get Jamar Chase. He gets quarterback and a pretty strong receiver to go with, presumably, Marvin Harrison Jr. as sort of the foundation of his team. So good job, foundation building, RJ, and thank you for being willing to actually give up a stud like Chase.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm interested to hear everybody else's opinions on it, but I liked it. Obviously, the trade went down, so I'm very happy with what I got back.
I think this is pretty solid for you, RJ. Like, Chase is obviously who he is, but you got rid of some cap situations, which was pretty excellent on top of it. And you gave up the 132 for Kyler, Diggs. Just because Diggs is older doesn't make it a bad player. And Kyler's so slept on most of the time. It's just a matter of, do you like small quarterbacks or not?
Yeah. I don't know if everybody costs the same. He wouldn't necessarily be my preference at quarterback. But I definitely was not in the market for a $90 million Brock Purdy, and there were very few other quarterbacks that I really wanted that were reasonably priced. So I think he was the best of the reasonably priced ones. I don't think I was gonna really break Chase down into like the adequate amount of picks that I would have wanted. So just turning him into basically the only other offensive position that would be more valuable than a wide receiver. I'm happy with that. I kind of view it as like Chase and Kyler are kind of even in this, and then I don't know, whatever extra value of Chase is wrapped up in the first, and then that for Diggs, which, I'm happy for that value on both players that I got back.
Yep.
This is one of those rare deals where a quarterback isn't required to be returned.
Right.
And sometimes, to your point, RJ, it's just easier to have somebody else to do the work for you. It's, hey, could you have maybe broken Chase down into something else that would have worked? Sure, but then you're doing the legwork of, reaching out and trying to shake the trees on this. Sometimes it's just easier to say, you know what, let me just take these two pieces, I build with these, move on with everything else, and let somebody else do the work for me.
Yeah.
All right. So then, less than 24 hours later, after acquiring Jamar Chase, he was leaving the facility. We are true believers in Minnesota of turning folks around and moving them to new teams as quickly as possible. We were proud to do so for Mr. Chase in a 24-hour period, sending him to Houston for with Parker Washington, the Bills' fourth this year, and the Saints' fourth this year for DK Metcalf, Dontavian Wicks, the 110 and the 216. Again, so Chase goes to Texans. Arguably now between Chase and Gibbs have two of the top 12 non-quarterback players you're looking for in a startup right now. Not a bad place to build from on offense. With if Watson bounces back, he's going to be well on his way this year. And then I just continue to acquire picks and consolidate and then break down players. So, my cycle continues.
Probably the best player, like far better player than he would have gotten with the 110. So to take the 110 and pair it with DK for Chase, I mean, like, I like what Mike's getting back a slight bit more. But I can't say I'm a big fan of DK Metcalf. But I do like the haul that you turn Chase into.
Yeah, I agree. DK and 110 and 217, whatever Steelers is, for Chase and Parker. I mean, that's a good deal no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my big thing on it is just, at some point you get capped out at that top end point wise, to where it's like, is Jamar ever going to score, enough points more than DK to where there's a world where moving the 110 plus DK for him makes a lot of sense, especially with the, DK is now locked in cap wise, coming off a kind of a down year, whereas Jamar's just going to get more expensive before he gets cheaper. It really makes the Texans a really interesting team, though, in the AFC South, just because how complete he kind of is on more top-end offensive assets now. It just comes into, can he build a defense, and can Watson do anything to be relevant? And if he doesn't, it's a lot of sunk into young guys that are getting more expensive with the rest of the roster's not there.
Yeah, it's interesting. He does need a quarterback. Like I've made no bones about. I don't think Watson's anything special. But yeah, he turned that team around pretty good. I think his only true missing piece is a tight end on the offense, though. So nothing too terribly difficult to work out along the way.
He still needs an edge and D tackle, but yeah, it's none of the big needs, but it's also the, the Titans did a really good job revamping, and they still have a lot more draft capital than he does. And the Jags have a team that is just, I think, better at this point. So it would be interesting to see how those teams do the rest of this offseason.
I agree. I really think that division's going to be interesting this year. I look forward to that actually being a competitive division rather than one that we normally just overlook most of the time. So it's nice to see a good concentration of good players.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That's going to be a new, highly competitive situation.
Then Texans not done building back up here, moving his second this year to Bill for Jermaine Pratt, Kazir White, and Pat's fourth, which I think is 405. You continue to turn players into picks, and Texans is building out a team.
It's all
Yeah,
going to plan.
I think this is a solid value for those linebackers. They are somewhat desirable linebackers. They're good players, not like the top end, but pretty good ones, pretty productive. Yeah, I think it was a good value. I think it was a great pickup for Texans. Like if he wants to win a division, like those are the kind of trades you want to make to do it.
Alrighty, and then last but certainly not least, the real reason that we did the emergency pod, because things like this never happen. We got, oil and vinegar, oil and water, whatever, analogy you want to give odd couples that rarely ever make deals. We've got a Panthers-Giants trade that has gone down. Jonathan Mingo and the Browns fourth for Sam Williams and the Chiefs second. So, again, not just the trade itself, but the fact of who it happened between is the true monumental thing here. So, James, it's your trade, your deal. What do you have to say?
It's our second trade ever, and we've had about 200 offers between each other since I've been in the league. So, just a rarity.
Well, I think it was a good deal. I like what Giants is getting a bit more. I think Mingo was probably closer to a first round pick, but I also might be off on like the value of Sam Williams. I think that is the piece that could make or break it as far as value.
Yeah, I'm in the. I have no love for Jonathan Mingo. Like I kicked the tires on him in a couple of leagues, including this one. See if I can get him on the cheap side because of just kind of a disastrous rookie season. But to me, he's a third round flyer. So basically, getting a second round pick for that, good on you. Then again, same kind of thing with Sam Williams. He's a nice little piece too. Yeah, again, I think I prefer what what Giants got here. I'm sorry, what Panthers got here.
Okay.
All right, those are the trades that have happened. I'm sure there are plenty still to come. What do you guys think? Any thoughts? Any major revelations so far? Anything else that needs to capture the earth-shattering nature of these trades that have happened?
Nothing about the trades, but it looks like we're not going to have a Tank Dell sweepstakes.
Did he finally get on and fix his team?
Yeah, I did it this morning.
Ah, damn it. Oh, well, we'll find something else to do.
That would have been fun. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with the amount of trades that happened over the past 24 hours.
There's still 3 hours to go. So,
So, Mike, what are you trying to sell in that last 3 hours?
everything. Everything must go, always. Even the things that are just acquired, they must go.
I was really hoping earlier when Raiders said trade in chat that you somehow got JT. That way I could come knock on your door instead of his.
I'm working on it.
Well, I hope that happens.
That would be interesting.
We're all going to do our best here and make things change hands. So, get back to that. If folks want to join the post pod, of course, by all means. And happy trading. Only a few hours left in the league year. And then it's going to be a happy, fun time of no touch the league because we're getting rolled over. So thanks again to the commissioners for all that they're going to have to do in the time after midnight here. And happy trading for the next 3 hours.